الذين ملأ الإله قلوبهم بوداده ومحبة الرحمن.
This is your invitation to aid a noble cause.
A wonderful opportunity for Sadaqah Jariyah.
An opportunity to help us finish building and maintaining the house of Allah.
A sadaqah is a burhan, a testimony to your iman.
The Prophet Muhammad said, charity does not decrease wealth.
We know the ummah is bleeding today. So of the 2.2 billion Muslims, we're only asking 3,000 of you to donate $50 each.
Your sadaqah
Invest in our future.
3,000 people, $50 each.
Click the button and donate now.
الوصية الثانية, the second advice. ومن جملة وصايا السلف للشباب, also from the collection of advice of the Salaf for the youth, is what came on the authority of Hammad ibn Zayd. ما جاء عن حماد بن زيد أنه قال دخلنا على أنس ibn Sirin rahimahullah. We entered upon Anas ibn Sirin rahimahullah ta'ala fi maradihi. We entered upon Anas ibn Sirin while he was ill. فقال, and he said, اتقوا الله يا معشر الشباب. Fear Allah, O gathering of youth. انظروا ممن تأخذون هذه الأحاديث. He said, be fearfully mindful of Allah, fear Allah, O youth, look carefully at those from whom you take these ahadith. Look carefully to whom you take these ahadith. فَإِنَّهَا مِن دِينِكُمْ. For indeed they are part of your religion. For indeed they are part of your religion. And so if we contemplate with regards to this, we hear many of time people who have been influenced and afflicted with the doubts of the people of innovation, those who wish never to hear any warning against innovation or the people of innovation, and who become tense and become upset when innovations are spoken about or warned against, or people who are harmful to the Muslims, that are misguiding the Muslims. They don't want to hear it, and that they deem anyone who speaks about another caller or a particular sheikh who is misguiding the ummah, that anyone who does so is extreme or is slandering and backbiting the Muslims and the like. These types of doubts exist amongst the Muslims. Or we have those who are maybe a little bit less than the first category, and they say, busy the people with ilm. Stop busying them with speaking about so-and-so and so-and-so. Busy them with ilm. And this statement is kalimat haqq yuradu biha ahyanan batil. This is a truthful statement. Busy the people with khair. Busy the people with ilm. Busy the people with fiqh and hadith and aqeedah. Busy the people with this, yes. Cultivate them upon this, yes. However, when the time arises for a particular falsehood that has spread to be warned against, then it is wajib. Then it is wajib for the one who is capable and that has the knowledge of that matter to warn against it to the best of their ability. And so, yes, busy the people with ilm. However, that does not eliminate the times where it is needed to also clarify falsehood so that the Muslims do not fall into it. Just as one of the Salaf said that, how do you know the Sunni? He asked his companion, do you know who the Sunni is? Do you know who the one who is upon the Sunnah in truth? He said, who? He said, the one who when the ahwa are mentioned, إِذَا ذُكِرَتِ الْأَهْوَاء, is that if when the innovations or falsehood is mentioned, or the people of falsehood are mentioned, they do not become upset. They do not become upset. Why? Because refuting innovation or the people of innovation is something praiseworthy in the deen. It is something praiseworthy in the deen. It is not something blameworthy. Only the people of innovation deem it as so. However, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, obviously that it be with knowledge and that it be with justice. It is not permissible to lie about anyone. It is not permissible to exaggerate with regards to someone does. So for example, if you are refuting someone in particular, you are not allowed to twist their words and then refute that which you yourself have twisted. It is not rather even allowed for you to lie upon a non-Muslim. If a non-Muslim is spreading falsehood or evil and you wish to warn the Muslims with regards to a non-Muslim, it is not permissible for you to lie on that non-Muslim, let alone a Muslim who is spreading some sort of misguidance. And so here when we look at and if we are now going to weigh the statements of the people that we mentioned now who have a problem with refutation or refuting falsehood or teaching the people why something is wrong or why they should not follow such and such person or such and such ideology, that when we weigh their understanding of matters to the statements of the Salaf and the methodology of the Salaf and how they saw refuting the people of innovation, or what their position was with regards to the people of innovation, or what their attitude was towards the people of innovation, we tend to find a difference when we weigh this speech against the speech of the Salaf. Here we have the example of Anas ibn Sirin. Anas ibn Sirin, rahimahullah, who in the state of, number one, in the state of sickness, where he could have advised with anything else. He could have advised with Tawheed. He could have advised with seek knowledge. He could have advised with learn your deen. He could have advised with stay away from sins. It was youth that came to visit him. He didn't advise with any of those things. Rather, he deemed it necessary to warn them about who they take their knowledge from. In that state of sickness, and his audience were youth. And so we have others who also say, don't mention these type of things to the youth. Instead, teach them this and teach them that. Yes, you teach them this, and you likewise teach them that which is wrong in the deen as well. Tasfiyah and tarbiyah. That you must clear the path that you wish to cultivate the youth upon, or the Muslims in general upon, that path, as-sirat al-mustaqim, the straight path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those who have put obstacles and put thorns on that path to harm the Muslims, you cannot simply just call the people to that path. You must first clean that path from that harm and remove that harm likewise for the Muslims. So it is not either this or that, but rather these two things are done at the same time. And so Anas ibn Sirin, he warned the youth of whom they take their deen from, Just as Muhammad ibn Sirin, rahimahullah, said, إِنَّ هَذَا الْعِلْمِ دِينٌ فَانْظُرُوا أَمَّنْ تَأْخُذُونَ دِينَكُمْ. That indeed this ilm, this knowledge of Islam, all aspects of Islam, is religion. So look to whom you take your religion from. Why? Why is that necessary? Why then, when the Salaf are telling us to be careful who we take our knowledge from, do we hear others saying, oh, I'll take knowledge from anyone. I'll take the good and I'll leave the bad. طيب, is that the manhaj of the Salaf? Did the Salaf say, go to the people of falsehood and filter the harm and the benefit? No. Rather, imams of that caliber, Muhammad ibn Sirin, students of Sahaba, right, from the Tabi'een, of that caliber, when a person of innovation would try to speak to him or even recite an ayah from the Quran to him, he would put his fingers in his ear and he would tell his young son to likewise put his finger in his ear. And then when those who witnessed him doing that, they saw that to be a bit harsh, a bit overboard. So they asked him, what would it have harmed you if you let him recite that verse? He said, I feared that it would enter my heart, that he would twist that verse, and that it would enter my heart, and then I would not be able to remove it. This is an imam of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, someone who existed so closely to the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when falsehood was less. He lived at a time that was closer to the time of truth. Today, 1400 years later, there are those who wish for us to become lackadaisical, become more lenient. Whereas the falsehood is only worse now. Rather, we have people today who are not only calling to innovations and the like and some sort of smaller misguidance, but rather we have those who are calling to kufr in the name of Islam. Those who are calling to kufr in the name of Islam. Due to the much deviation and the mixing with the people of kufr and the like, a lot of things have now been mixed together. And so it is of utmost importance, even more so than the times of past, to be on guard and to be cautious where we take our knowledge from. And that we know that the methodology of the Salaf, when we say that we are following the manhaj of the Salaf, it is in totality. That it is in totality. It's not that we pick and choose what we wish to follow. That when it comes to the names and attributes of Allah, we follow the Salaf. When it comes to Tawheed, we follow the Salaf. When it comes to ahkam, halal and haram, we follow the Salaf. But when it comes to these matters of we should not take knowledge from this person, or our emotions start to get involved. Right? We start to use our intellect. Well then, if this is like this, then this should be okay. And we try to justify that which we wish to do because we did not follow the methodology of the Salaf from the onset. Where before we ever listen to someone, we should have verified, asked someone who knows. Is this someone I should take knowledge from? Is this book a book that I should read? Is this book correct? Or is there some sort of misguidance in it? Should I go attend classes at this masjid? Should I go to this place and that place? The Muslim is cautious because you only want khair for yourself. And you know that this deen, whatever you learn in terms of deen, will be that which you worship Allah with, that which you seek nearness to Allah with. And what happens if you don't do that? Then that which you will stand in front of Allah with on the Day of Judgment may perhaps be misguidance. And it will not help you on the Day of Judgment to say, oh, I did not know. Rather, now is the time for you to verify and to be cautious, just like you are cautious when you are involved in matters of dunya. When you want surgery, you go to the best surgeon. When you want to buy a house, you go to the best real estate agent. When you want car insurance, you ask for the cheapest, right? You ask everyone who knows the best car insurance or whatever the case is. When it comes to affairs of dunya, even to the point of restaurants, what's the best restaurant for burgers? What's the best restaurant for this? For these things, we take it to the utmost seriousness, right? And we even argue, no, akhi, subhanAllah, no. This place is better than that place. Look at the level of seriousness we have for food and things that are tafih, irrelevant and not that important. But something that is the most important thing in your life is your deen. We think there is an opportunity here to be lenient and that we're worried about being seen as harsh or extreme. La, this is your deen and you must preserve it. This is your deen and you must preserve it. And the manhaj of the Salaf, as we said, that we take it in totality, there is a methodology of the Salaf with regards to how you seek knowledge. From the mannerisms or the adab of seeking knowledge is taking knowledge from its correct sources. From them is taking from people who are knowledgeable. To seek knowledge from those who have knowledge and not ignoramuses. Not people who are on social media making a fool of themselves and misrepresenting the religion of Islam. Not to take knowledge from debaters in parks, as is popular today. Those who stand in parks for hours on end, debating with kuffar, debating with misguided Muslims, debating with this one and that one. And now majority of the youth are listening to these people because they are the ones that are popular. That we don't take knowledge from storytellers. That we don't take knowledge from qurra. Someone is a reciter, a Quran reciter, let him be even a reciter of the haram. If the person is not known for ilm, shar'i, knowledge of the legislation, that does not mean that you take knowledge from that person. It doesn't matter that they lead in this place or his voice is so amazing, right? There are those, even in the West, who have become popular because of their Quran recitation. Their recordings of their recitations are all over social media. And then they travel to America, to Canada, to the UK, and people flock towards them. Why? Because they equate that this person, if their Quran recitation is so good, then they must be knowledgeable of the deen as well. This is the times that we are living in. And that is the qiyas, that is the measurement or the scale of the layman, the common Muslim. And that is because of the lack of proper cultivation upon the Sunnah and the way of the Salaf. That the Salaf have stern narrations with regards to specifically taking knowledge from Qurra, from just reciters. That this was not the way of the Salaf, that they would never take knowledge from simply people who recited the Quran or that were known for the Quran. Or storytellers, those who tell stories and move the people with storytelling and the people enjoy their lectures. This was not the manhaj of the Salaf. None of these things were from the manhaj of the Salaf. Rather, they sought knowledge from those upon the Sunnah who were firm upon the Sunnah and called to the Sunnah and to the way of the Salaf, the way of the Sahaba, and likewise that they had knowledge of the deen, that they had knowledge of the deen and not just any individual, From the doubts, likewise, when it comes to this matter of taking knowledge and whom we take our knowledge from, is that when you clarify to certain people about the individuals that they take knowledge from and you clarify to them their errors, it is hard for them to leave off that person. And the reason for that is because instead of following the methodology of the Salaf and verifying first, they ignored that and they started taking knowledge from this person. Now they benefited and they've taken books with this person. And they've now been listening to their lectures and traveling to this individual and all of these things. And now their hearts are attached to this person. So now it becomes difficult to leave this person. What would save you now from that difficulty and this now difficulty for you to leave this person is that you simply follow the Salafi manhaj from the get-go. And that you don't just now take knowledge from whoever you want and whoever you wish, but rather you verify. That you verify first so that you do not become attached to someone whom you should never have been taking from in the first place. That you should have never been taking knowledge from in the first place. And so we hear some people saying, when you mention certain mistakes, who is free from mistakes? Everyone makes mistakes. But mistakes are different. Mistakes are of levels. And mistakes sometimes are mistakes, actual mistakes, that if the person is advised, they would recant and they would clarify it. And some things are not actually mistakes. It is the actual methodology of that individual. So that's what has to be determined. That we can't just brush it off as mistakes and everyone makes mistakes. No, those who are involved in da'wah are responsible. That I today, ILYAS, if I make a mistake today and I'm told about it, tomorrow I should come here and clarify. None of you should say, oh no, this is Ustad ILYAS, we know him to be Salafi, that's just a mistake, everyone makes a mistake. No. Because what is more important than me or anyone else who sits in front of the people is that the truth be uppermost. The most important thing is that the haqq be the thing that is followed. Not me and trying to preserve the scholar or the student of knowledge who is teaching. Preserving their image or their reputation or defending their honor. There's something more important than that. And that is defending the deen. And protecting the deen from any mistake. The mistake of the Salafi and the mistake of the non-Salafi. That falsehood or a mistake or whatever the case is not accepted from anyone. Is not accepted from anyone and should not be brushed off from anyone. The Shaykh Hafidhullah, Shaykh Abdul Razak, he continues and he says, وَهَذِهِ وَصِيَّةٌ عَظِيمَةٌ جِدًّا. And this is a great and tremendous advice. The advice of Anas ibn Sirin, whereby he advises the youth to look to whom they take their deen from. And this, I'd like to highlight, Shaykh Abdul Razak, Hafidhullah, for him, number one, being the one who compiled these advices. So he extracted from the different books these advices, and him seeing it as important to make this point here, this advice here, as one of the points to mention to the youth shows the minhaj and the Salafi of Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Abbad, whereas others try to make ta'an on the Shaykh. Whereas others try to claim that the Shaykh is weak when it comes to minhaj, or that he does not know minhaj, or that he goes to places that are not known to be upon the Sunnah, and so we shouldn't take knowledge from him and the like. From the type of things that we hear from some of the ghulat, some whom claim to be upon the Sunnah and then advise others not to invite the Shaykh to their communities in the West. Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Abbad. This is clear proof of the Shaykh's Salafiyah, because للأسف الشديد, for these individuals, this is the only aspect of manhaj that they know. Staying away from Ahl Bid'ah and not taking from Ahl Bid'ah, that's all they've understood from manhaj. And so if someone now goes against something that they've been taught when it comes to manhaj, they wipe that person out completely, not knowing in reality the manhaj. So this is something that Shaykh Abdul Razak does taqreer of. This is something that he is teaching, that we must be cautious with regards to whom we take our knowledge from. And that is something that distinguishes the caller to the Sunnah in truth from the caller of innovation, or the caller to innovation in the paths of Hizbiyah. That the people of innovation do not care where you take your knowledge from, or the sources, or they do not cultivate the people who take knowledge from them upon that. That you're free to go wherever you want and take knowledge from wherever you want, as long as it's not from a Salafi. That's what they have in common. Just don't go to the Wahhabis or the Madkhalis or whatever other names that they call Ahlul Sunnah. So the Shaykh Hafidhullah continues and he says, وَهِيَ أَنَّ الشَّابِ الْمُقْبِلَ عَلَى طَلَبِ الْعِلْمِ وَتَحْصِيلِ الْحَدِيثِ. And so the Shaykh says this is a tremendous and great advice, and that is that the youth, the one who is about to embark and begin his journey with regards to seeking knowledge and attaining the knowledge of hadith, ينبغي أن يكون تحصيله له. It is incumbent and obligatory for this seeking knowledge of these matters, يعني hadith and the like, that على أيدي أهل العلم الراسخين الأثبات, that it be at the feet of or in the hands of, at the hands of the people of knowledge that are firm upon this ilm and this deen. الراسخين الأثبات, those who are well grounded when it comes to knowledge and that are firm. أهل الدراية والبصيرة, those of understanding and of insight. الأكابر في العلم, those who are senior in knowledge. لا أن يأخذ العلم عن كل أحد. Here again, an illustration of the Shaykh's manhaj. He says that it is not the fact that they should take knowledge from just anyone, that just anyone who pops up. وَإِنَّمَا يَأْخُذُ الْعِلْمِ عَنْ صَاحِبِ السُّنَّةِ, but rather that he takes knowledge from a person of sunnah. رَسَخَتْ قَدَمَهُ فِيهَا, that his feet are firm in it. In what? In the sunnah. In the sunnah. فعن ابن شوذب رحمه الله تعالى قال إن من نعمة الله على الشاب إذا تنسك أن يؤاخي صاحب السنة يحمله عليها. So Ibn Shawdhab rahimahullah ta'ala, this is another narration that the Shaykh mentions, and he says, certainly from Allah's blessing on the youth, once he devotes himself to worship, once this person becomes practicing, they become, from the youth who now have embarked upon worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and becoming devout, is that he establishes brotherhood with a person of sunnah. From the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the youth is that once they start wanting to learn the deen and they become devout as it pertains to worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he cause him to have brotherhood with someone of sunnah, who will carry him upon it, who will help him upon that path. وعن عمرو ibn Qais al-Mula'i, and likewise another narration similar to the first one, rahimahullah, قال إذا رأيت الشاب, if you see a youth, أول ما ينشأ, if you see a youth when he is first raised with Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Yani, if you see a youth in the beginning stages of his upbringing, the beginning stages of his practicing and seeking knowledge, that it is with Ahlul Sunnah. مع أهل السنة والجماعة فرجه. Have hope in him. Have hope in him, or have hope for him. That when you see the signs of a youth when they were young, that you see them with Ahl Sunnah and wanting Ahl Sunnah, and you see them posting on social media, the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, wanting to seek knowledge with the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, going to the gatherings of Ahl Sunnah, attending the masjid of Ahl Sunnah. When you see that in a youth, have hope for him. Yani have hope in khair for him. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتُهُ مَعَ أَهْلِ الْبِدَعِ فَأَيْأَسْ مِنْهُ. And if you see him in his beginning stages with the people of innovation, then despair. Then despair, meaning lose hope in that youth. فَإِنَّ الشَّابَ عَلَى أَوَّلُ نُشُوئِهِ. For indeed, the youth is upon his initial upbringing. In most cases, that the youth is going to be upon what he was upon in his initial, the beginning stages of his upbringing. And so when we see from these two narrations, what it illustrates for us and what we can benefit from them is that the person who is in the position to cultivate and educate the youth, number one, he advises and encourages them to take knowledge from the people of Sunnah, the scholars of Sunnah, and the students of knowledge that are available in their countries or who speak in their language that are upon the Sunnah. Not those who are known to have fallen into misguidance or spread misguidance or who have errors in misguidance. That not only that you advise them with those types of individuals while claiming that you are a Salafi student or a Shaykh, but rather that you advise them with Ahlul Sunnah. And that likewise you are responsible with regards to, as we mentioned, the qudwa, that the youth need a role model and they need someone to follow so that it encourages them and motivates them to do good. Likewise, you as a da'iyah, as a caller to this deen, are responsible with regards to your interactions and your associations and who you take or who you advise the youth to take from. Because more so than your actions, or more so afwan, than your speech, the layman and the common folk, and especially the youth, will follow your actions more than anything. If they see you attend a particular masjid and give a lecture there or give a dars there, and that masjid is not known for the sunnah, they will now deem that place to be a place of sunnah because you are there. That is the mentality of the people, the common Muslim, because they don't know the deen. They have not studied the deen and they don't know the exceptions to rules and things like that. And so your attendance of a particular seminar or conference or taking your umrah groups or those who travel with you to people of misguidance and the like, you are responsible as a person of da'wah, that you connect people to those people who will teach them the correct manhaj and the correct version of Islam. And so that has to be something that the person who is now involved in da'wah, when they are considering where they should give da'wah, that of course when you become active in da'wah, you will get invitations from all over the place. People will want to invite you from this place and that place to participate in a conference, possibly with other speakers and the like. You have to, when considering the harms and benefits of these types of things, you must consider those who will follow you in this. You won't always be around. You may die one day. You may die one day not having ever clarified anything. Yet you attended certain places and participated and shared panels with certain individuals that now caused some of the Muslims to go astray with you. And that is something that must be considered when weighing the harms and benefits of these matters, and not simply looking only from the angle of how I can get my da'wah more popular. So I choose a particular platform or a particular organization or a particular masjid that is famously known, And so the only angle of benefit that I'm looking for is that my da'wah will flourish more by going to this place and that place, or by associating with these people, or by praising certain individuals, or retweeting certain individuals. I now become more popular. That is from the plots of shaitan to the caller to da'wah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from that. The Shaykh Hafidhullah, he mentions, وعن عمرو ibn Qais rahimahullah, once again, قال إن الشاب لينشأ. He says, the youth grows up. فإن آثر أن يجالس أهل العلم كاد أن يسلم وإن مال إلى غيرهم كاد أن يعطب. That he says, the youth grows up. So if you see him preferring to sit with the people of knowledge from Ahlul Sunnah, he would nearly be saved already. Yani he's close to salvation. Yani that is a good sign, meaning that is a good sign for that youth. While if you see him inclining to other than them, other than the people of Sunnah, other than the people of knowledge, if you see them inclining to YouTube stars, those who are simply just popular, those who are just eloquent in their speech, without any consideration to what this person is teaching, or if they are even qualified to be speaking on the deen, that if you see them inclining to those types of people, he would nearly be ruined already. And he is nearer to his destruction and ruin than he is to that which is khair.